I'm in GT, my brother is Broly. Chapter 151 Broly's strength soars. Buppa's potential runs wild. Supreme Kai World. Drink. With a low growl, Broly stood up from the ground. With the chi in the whole body violent at this moment, his whole person's combat power has reached the level of 1 trillion. At this moment, Broly got up slowly, and his whole body was full of violent aura. As his anger continued to soar, there was a vague tendency to complete the mysterious state, but soon, the trend of this mysterious state stopped abruptly, and the increase of Broly chi also stopped. Failed? Seeing this, the old Supreme Kai frowned. For Broly's potential, they are all extremely optimistic, even many times more than Son Gohan's. But even so, Broly could not complete the mysterious state, which means that the pure Saiyan really seems to have missed this state. Did not succeed. At this time, Broly also opened his eyes, felt his own form, and shook his head with a wry smile. Unfortunately, I thought I could complete the mysterious state, but I didn't expect it to be close to the door. Broly can feel that the self just now has the possibility of completing the mysterious state. But just like his Super 4 transformation, he felt that something was blocking him when he was about to complete the mysterious state. This also caused him to be unable to complete the mysterious state, and there was no hope of turning it on afterward. Zizzy. The space shook, and Buppa appeared in the area next to Broly and the old Supreme Kai. King Buppa, big brother. Seeing Buppa's figure appear, the old Supreme Kai and Broly on the side were immediately refreshed. Immediately afterwards, Broly stepped forward. Brother, I feel that I have increased my combat power by 500 billion. But I failed when I was about to complete the mysterious state. Having said that, Broly lowered his head and looked a little ashamed. He had heard before that the mysterious state had the possibility of being integrated into the normal state. If it could be accomplished, he would also be more powerful and help Buppa more. Don't worry about it. Hearing this, Buppa reached out and patted Broly's shoulder, and then said, our most important thing is to transmit the super bloodline. Even if the so-called mysterious state cannot be completed, there is no need to struggle. After speaking, Buppa no longer hesitated, turned to look at the old Supreme Kai and said, Old Supreme Kai, now it's time to help me develop my potential. I'm quite curious about how much potential you can develop for me. Saying that, there was a hint of anticipation in Buppa's eyes. You know, he was close to reaching 1 Gai before getting the power back from Son Goku and Broly. Now it is a full combat power of about a Gao, and it is still in the case of not displaying Kaioken. If the old Supreme Kai can help him develop enough potential, so when his combat power soars, it will be more certain to go to the main universe. It is good. Hearing this, the old Supreme Kai did not refuse. He knew he couldn't refuse Buppa's orders. The main thing is that this is already the last one. As long as the development of potential for Buppa is over, he does not need to be so exhausted and tired. Thinking of this, the old Supreme Kai suddenly became energetic and said, King Buppa, give me a fairy bean, and I will start to develop my potential when my physical strength recovers. It is good. Nodding, Buppa threw a fairy bean to the old Supreme Kai. After the recovery of physical strength, the old Supreme Kai did not hesitate, and walked to Buppa's side and began to develop his potential. As the old Supreme Kai danced continuously, Buppa vaguely felt a warm current in his body slowly emerging. Unsurprisingly, that power came from the old Supreme Kai. It is this force that wanders in the body that can help him tap his potential. For a time, Buppa didn't dare to neglect, and immediately closed his eyes and then took the initiative to cooperate with the movement of that power. As time went by, Buppa's whole person became trapped in it, unable to extricate himself. That power is also more and more intense for the stimulation of his potential, which even surprised the old Supreme Kai. Strange. 9. Sitting down, the old Supreme Kai looked at Buppa in amazement and said, it's actually able to actively cooperate with my divine power. What's the matter with this King Buppa? Did he also have divine power before? But this is impossible. My divine power belongs to Supreme Kai, and the divine power of ordinary divine residences cannot be matched with it. 66.99 Listening to the words of the old Supreme Kai, Broly on the side frowned. Although I don't know what's going on, it doesn't seem right from the reaction of the old Supreme Kai. Subconsciously, Broly asked, Old Supreme Kai, did something happen to my eldest brother? No. After returning to his senses, the old Supreme Kai glanced at Broly, who looked impatient, and hurriedly said to comfort, nothing happened. It's just that the potential of King Buppa has been developed so much, even far beyond yours, Son Goku and Son Gohan, which amazes me. The old Supreme Kai didn't have to explain so much to Broly, and he didn't say his secrets casually. That's good. However, Broly didn't think so much, made sure that Buppa was not in danger, and he breathed a sigh of relief. Immediately afterwards, Broly said, if that's the case, then I won't bother. After speaking, Broly walked to the side area and sat down and continued to wait. After the old Supreme Kai breathed a sigh of relief, he continued to develop the potential of Buppa. But as time passed, the old Supreme Kai was surprised to find that his supernatural powers had begun to get out of control. The power of that potential development is constantly growing in Buppa's body, but it is not under his control. but Bupa himself, Supreme Kai, wouldn't care if it was just so old, obtained, but the continuous enhancement of this power has led to a large-scale loss of divine power in his body. For a time, the old Supreme Kai broke out in cold sweat on his forehead. He only felt that his whole body was hollowed out, and at the same time he exclaimed, "Broly, let Dong Supreme Kai go to the earth and get me the fairy beans." 35. Prepare fairy beans, the more the better. Bupa's potential development is frantically consuming my divine power. If I can't hold on to it, then his potential development will fail, and even all the developed potential will be lost and cannot be converted into its own combat power. I see. Hearing this, Broly was startled, and hurriedly stepped forward and took out the bag containing fairy beans from Bupa's arms and put it next to the old Supreme Kai and said, "There are still some fairy beans in here, you can eat them first, I'll go find Dong now." Supreme Kai. After that, Broly left in a hurry. After finding Dong Supreme Kai, the group of three quickly cast instant transmission to Earth. Chapter 152 Rare Fairy Beans, Broly's Wrath. When the three of Broly left, the old Supreme Kai did not dare to neglect, and immediately took out a fairy bean and swallowed it. Feeling the recovery of divine power and physical strength in the body, the old Supreme Kai breathed a sigh of relief. But even so, he could clearly feel that his situation was not good. Under such circumstances, his physical strength and divine strength are still being consumed continuously, and even the speed is getting faster and faster. For a time, the old Supreme Kai had to take out a fairy bean and put it in his mouth, looked at Bupa sitting cross-legged in front of him and muttered, "King Bupa, you have to take it easy. Once my divine power is exhausted, then you will really fall short." At the other end, the three Broly had also arrived on Earth at this moment. I found Son Goku and others for the first time, and after explaining the purpose of their visit, a group of people hurried to the Callis Tower. When Broly and others arrived, the result was extremely unacceptable to them. There are not many fairy beans, and even Immortal Callis doesn't grow many fairy beans at all. Under such circumstances, the number of immortal beans has been greatly reduced, and now Kankan can only take out about 15 pieces. Damn white cat, that's all you have to grow fairy beans? Or you still have fairy beans but don't want to take them out? With a flash of murderous intent in his eyes, Broly glared at Immortal Callis, obviously disbelieving. 110 after all, since this fairy bean can be planted, it means that its number cannot be so rare. But what about now? Immortal Callis really only has so many fairy beans. How can Broly accept this? Immortal Callis, there are really only 15. Immortal Callis, now it's a matter of great importance, we need bigger fairy beans. 66.99, including Son Goku, Piccolo and others are also somewhat disbelieving. After all, this immortal bean was planted by Immortal Callis, and you have already planted it. How could there be so few? It's really just that. Hearing this, Immortal Callis said with a bit of desire to cry without tears, "There were some in stock before, but last time Naoki Liubai ate them all because I didn't pay attention. There are only these 15 immortal beans left, and there are more than a dozen immortal beans that are not yet ripe, and they are also the seeds I left to plant. If I take them away, there will be no fairy beans in the future." As soon as these words came out, the audience fell silent. Broly clenched his fists tightly, his eyes overflowing with murderous intent. "Who is Yakilobe? Actually, Ka, dared to steal the fairy beans, and only 15 of them were left. This guy deserves to die." At this moment, Broly can't wait to take out Yakilobe and slash it with 1,000 swords. With Bupa's current situation so precarious, Xiandu is the last hope. Now there is only a little bit left, and if something goes wrong, the consequences are simply unimaginable. The expressions of Son Goku and others at the moment are a little embarrassed. Yakilobe was their friend, but they never imagined that the latter would be so greedy that he almost ate all the fairy beans. After looking at each other, Piccolo said quietly, "Okay Broly, you should go back to Supreme Kai with Dong Supreme Kai now." The situation in Bupa is not optimistic. Although the number of fairy beans is much lower, there is no way to do it now. You send it back first to make sure there are no problems with the lack of fairy beans. 39. It is good. Hearing this, Broly nodded and said with a livid expression, "Yakilobe, I remember you. Don't let me meet, or you will have to pay the price." After speaking, Broly turned around and walked to Dong Supreme Kai and J-Beat. With the activation of instant transmission, the three figures disappeared from the Callis Tower. Seeing this, Son Goku and the others were relieved. They were really afraid of Broly's anger breaking out, not to mention Yakilobe. Even himself and others would be affected. Goku. At this time, Piccolo turned his head to look at Son Goku and said, "You go and tell Yakilobe to leave the Earth as soon as possible. Now that he's not safe on Earth, Bupa will be fine, but if something goes wrong, he'll be dead." "It is good." Nodding, Son Goku also understood the seriousness of the matter. Although he wanted to kill Yakilobe in his heart, he was his friend after all, and he saved him more than once when he was a child, so Son Goku couldn't possibly kill him. The next second, Son Goku's figure hurriedly left Callis Fairy. 99. After Son Goku left, Piccolo's gaze followed to where Immortal Callis was, and said with a cold expression, "How many fairy beans can you grow?" Also, when will the output and quantity of your fairy bins recover? From now on, the role of fairy bins will become larger and larger, and even the required quantity will be more and more. I hope you can grow more fairy beans. As soon as these words came out, Son Gohan and others also looked at where Immortal Callan was. As Piccolo said, the number of celery bins must not be reduced. The value of immortal bins is too great. As long as there is still one breath to eat, it will be restored to its original state. Such a magical thing is completely another life. In the future, they will become members of the Justice League and walk in the universe. If there are not enough fairy beans, it will be unimaginable in case of an accident. Faced with the question, Immortal Callan looked at Piccolo with embarrassment and said, "There is nothing wrong with the cultivation of immortal bins. As long as you give me a year or two, I will be able to completely recover its production, and even increase it a lot." 5. But this fairy bin needs the nourishment of super divine water. The amount of super divine water I have here is already insufficient, so I see. Before Immortal Callan could finish speaking, Piccolo waved his hand first and said, "I will let Bobo send some super divine water over. But Immortal Callan, if you can't do it, you know what it will be like." In the Supreme Kai world, the three Broly returned and quickly came to where the old Supreme Kai was. After handing over all the fairy bins to the old Supreme Kai, Broly said with a worried expression, "Old Supreme Kai, the number of fairy bins is not enough. Are you sure you can help my eldest brother to complete the potential development before this?" "No." Hearing this, the old Supreme Kai shook his head without hesitation, and said with a complicated expression, "Bupa is now developing his own potential, and my strength is just an introduction to him. It can be said that unless Bupa stops voluntarily, or if my divine power is exhausted, it will stop. If King Bupa voluntarily stops, it means that there will be no problem with the end of potential development. But if my power is exhausted and stopped, then the power that King Bupa developed during this time will be gone." Chapter 153 100 times mysterious and passive, comparable to the Super Blue's combat power. Hearing this, Broly clenched his fists. He knew that what the old Supreme Kai said was the truth, and although he was impatient, he couldn't do anything about it. "Big brother." Clenching his fists, Broly looked at Bupa and said, "You must wake up as soon as possible." 5. In this case, time flies fast. 7 days passed in a blink of an eye, and the fairy bins had been consumed 7 to 88. And there were still 3 left. Under such circumstances, the complexion of the old Supreme Kai became more and more tired. Although Xiandu recovered himself, this uninterrupted consumption also made him feel tired. But at the moment, Bupa has no intention of waking up, and is still absorbing the divine power of the old Supreme Kai to strengthen the development of his own potential. On the 8th day, the old Supreme Kai ate a fairy bin. On the 9th day, the old Supreme Kai ate another fairy bin. On the 10th day, the old Supreme Kai swallowed the last fairy bin. "Bupa, this old man's supernatural power can last for a day at most. If you don't wake up, then don't blame the old man." Recovering his divine power again, the old Supreme Kai continued to control his exhausted spirit to inject divine power into Bupa's body. At the same time, in the area behind the old Supreme Kai, Dong Supreme Kai is also injecting his own divine power into his body to help the old Supreme Kai slow down the consumption. And Bbook directly grabbed the old Supreme Kai with one hand and the East Supreme Kai with the other, recovering them with his own abilities. It is precisely because of the assistance of Dong Supreme Kai and Bbook that the old Supreme Kai was able to keep the old Supreme Kai for so long. In this case, time flies by quickly. Seeing the old Supreme Kai, Dong Supreme Kai and Bbook are already pale and shaky, and Broly on the side is even more impatient to the extreme. He could see that the 3 old Supreme Kais had already lost their power. If Bupa didn't wake up, the consequences would be unimaginable. For a while, Broly couldn't care about anything else, and immediately exclaimed, "Brother, wake up soon." Crack. Just as Broly finished speaking, Bupa's magical powers came to an abrupt end. "It's done." At this moment, the old Supreme Kai suddenly regained his spirits and said, "Bupa has stopped absorbing my divine power, and his potential development is coming to an end." As soon as these words came out, Dong Supreme Kai and Bbook both breathed a sigh of relief. The next second, the old Supreme Kai, Dong Supreme Kai and Bbook were all slumped to the ground, gasping for breath and extremely tired. At the same time, Bupa was still sitting cross-legged, and the aura around him was rapidly increasing. 40 trillion, 60 trillion, 80 trillion, 100 trillion, 120 trillion. After a full increase of 120 trillion, the aura around Bupa gradually stopped growing. Immediately afterwards, Bupa's closed eyes suddenly opened, and the whole person suddenly stood up on the ground, his fists clenched suddenly. Drink 39. In the next second, Bupa's chi instantly soared tenfold, from 120 trillion to 1,200 trillion. At this moment, Bupa exhaled heavily, and the corners of his mouth rose. "It's finally over." 39. The passive version of the mysterious state has also been upgraded, and the original tenfold increase in combat power has become 100-fold. System, check personal information. In the next second, the personal information module appeared in front of Bupa's eyes. Bupa, race, Saiyan, bloodline, medium passage, combat power, 1200 trillion. Transformation, anger, Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3, Super Saiyan 4, Quincow mode, Quincow 2. Abilities, Kaioken, Final Flash, Dragon Fist, Spirit Bomb, Time Flash, Imprisonment. Add 1200 trillion combat power. Good, very good. After reading the personal information, the corner of Bupa's mouth rose and he couldn't help laughing loudly. 1200 trillion basic combat power. If he performs Super 4 transformations, his combat power will then reach the level of 4.80. In other words, his combat power has reached the Super Blue level of Son Goku within the main universe. The 20th Order Combat Power Division of the main universe. He is now at the 7th stage with all his strength. With the addition of 100 times Kaioken, the ultimate omen of freedom, Time Flash power and imprisonment, even the Super Blue Son Goku, Veg2 is no match for him. Enough. This power is enough to make me go to the main universe to be invincible. Feeling his own situation, Bupa was very excited. For such a long time, he finally caught up with the Saiyans in the main universe, and then he only needs to go to the main universe to continue to improve his strength. Then, 0 for flowers 0, big brother. 35. At this time, Broly stepped forward in a hurry, and when he reached Bupa's side, he said, "Brother, how do you feel? Is this potential development complete?" "It feels good." After regaining his senses, Bupa glanced at Broly, who was worried about himself, and the corner of his mouth raised. "Originally, my combat power was only over 30 trillion, but after the potential development, it reached 120 trillion, which has increased by 4 times. Not only that, I also completed a low-level version of the mysterious state, which directly increased my urgent combat power by 10 times. Add, now that my basic combat power has reached 1200 trillion, it can be said that the improvement this time is huge." 55.0 Hiss. After listening to Bupa's remarks, Broly couldn't help taking a deep breath. The potential development has increased the combat power by 4 times, and it has also completed the mysterious state of the low-end version, and has even completely integrated with its own basic combat power, which is simply incredible. Subconsciously, Broly said, "Brother, doesn't that mean that every 1 trillion increase in your strength in the future will actually increase your strength by 10 trillion? 10 trillion boost? Do not. That's a 100x improvement. And if it is the power obtained from Broly and others, it will be a 1000-fold increase." Thinking of this, the corner of Bupa's mouth rose slightly, and he looked at Broly and said, "That's right." Exactly. After speaking, Bupa ignored the shocked Broly, turned his head to look at the old Supreme Kai on the ground, clasped his fists and said, "Old Supreme Kai, thank you for this time." 99. This gift, Bupa sincerely. If it weren't for the divine blessing of the old Supreme Kai, his potential could not have been developed so much. If it weren't for the power of the old Supreme Kai to completely activate the passive version of the mysterious state to increase it by 100 times, his mysterious state would not be able to amplify itself. Just like before, although Broly and others got 10 times the increase in combat power, they couldn't trigger the 10-fold increase in the mysterious state. But now it's different. Because Supreme Kai's power completely activates the power of the passive version of the mysterious state, he can also increase the basic combat power by 100 times in the mysterious state after receiving 10 times the blessing of returning combat power. Chapter 154 Old Supreme Kai's support, Son Goku's father-son war. Add, King Bupa is welcome. Seeing this situation, the old Supreme Kai also smiled slightly and said, "You rescued me, as Supreme Kai, I will naturally repay you." Seeing the current strength of Bupa, the old Supreme Kai can almost conclude that there are few people in the universe who can be his opponents. With the presence of Broly, Son Goku, Son Gohan and others, Bupa has almost stood at the top of the GT universe. Under such circumstances, the old Supreme Kai is still aware of current affairs, and compared with the benefits brought by befriending Bupa, if he offends him, it will be a huge loss. Old Supreme Kai. The corners of his mouth rose, and Bupa understood what the old Supreme Kai was thinking, and immediately stood up and said, "If there is anything useful in the future, please let me know. Broly, Son Goku, Son Gohan and others can help you out even when I'm not around." 110. Then I'll be disrespectful. Hearing this, the old Supreme Kai was overjoyed and immediately nodded in agreement. Did so much to get Bupa's friendship. Now that it has finally succeeded, it is impossible for the old Supreme Kai to choose to give up. It would be too stupid. At this point, the two sides talked for a while, and Bupa left the Supreme Kai world with Broly instant transmission. Ancestors. 35. After Bupa left, Dong Supreme Kai walked up to the old Supreme Kai and said, "King Bupa intends to establish the Justice League, so as to maintain the order of the universe and destroy all evil. What do you think?" 99. Great. Looking at Dong Supreme Kai, the old Supreme Kai said indifferently, "This was originally the responsibility of Supreme Kai. But your strength is too weak to accomplish this." Bupa's strength is enough, and his Justice League will become Universe's guarantee, maybe. Speaking of which, a flash of longing flashed in the eyes of the old Supreme Kai, but it was quickly replaced by calm, looking at Dong Supreme Kai and said, East Supreme Kai, you will cooperate with King Bupa to build the Justice League in the future. 99. Tell the gods under your command that the Justice League is an existence recognized by Supreme Kai, and they are not allowed to block it in any way. Yes. With a promise, Dong Supreme Kai immediately sighed in relief. He was really afraid that the old Supreme Kai didn't understand this matter. In that case, the consequences would be really unimaginable. But now it seems that all these worries are completely unnecessary, and the old Supreme Kai seems to want the establishment of the Justice League more than he does. Earth. Bupa and Broly then appeared in Bozy Mountain. Lord Bupa. 35. Uncle Bupa. Seeing Bupa appearing, Son Goku and Son Gohan immediately came forward to greet him with a worried expression. Uncle Bupa, is your potential development okay? No problem. Waving his hand, Bupa said indifferently, the potential development has been successfully completed. This time is for the transformation of the two of you in Super Saiyan 4. Can you two be ready? Hearing this, Son Goku and Son Gohan sighed with relief. Fortunately, Bupa has succeeded. Otherwise, Naoki Lobik would be really dangerous. Immediately afterwards, Son Gohan and Son Goku looked at each other and immediately said, Get ready. I'm ready. 99. Nodding his head, Bupa didn't hesitate any longer. He stepped forward and grabbed the shoulders of Son Goku and Son Gohan, and said, So, let's go now. Broly, grab me. Yes. With a promise, Broly stepped forward and grabbed Bupa's shoulder. The next second, instant transmission started, and the figures of the four Bupa disappeared from the earth in an instant. Moments later, the four Bupa appeared on a planet of Saturn. Here, the existence of the earth can be clearly seen. Moreover, this planet also has an atmosphere, but the gravity is more than twice that of the earth, and the oxygen in the air is much less. However, this has no effect on Bupa et al. After the figure stabilized, Bupa immediately used the artificial moon skill. In the next second, the artificial moon flew into the sky, and immediately flew into the area in midair, exuding a dazzling brilliance. All right. After doing all this, Bupa looked at Son Goku and Son Gohan and said, Look up and look at the moon and transform. 5. With Broly and I, it's not a problem for you and your son to transform together. Yes. With a promise, Son Goku and Son Gohan no longer hesitated, and looked up at the artificial moon in midair. 0. Plop 1. Thump. For a time, a violent heartbeat resounded. In just a few breaths, the figures of Son Goku and Son Gohan turned into two gorillas. Roar. The low roar kept resounding. Son Goku and Son Gohan turned into gorillas at this moment, and they both lost their minds at this moment. In just an instant, the two behemoths slaughtered together on the planet. Bang bang bang. Bang bang bang. The deafening roar continued to resound, and the fight between the two gorillas became more and more intense. The surrounding earth collapsed and the hills were razed to the ground. In a short period of time, the battle between the two gorillas entered a stage of intense heat, and every move was fatal without any holdback. Seeing this, Broly stepped forward with a complicated expression. Should we intervene? Under the current circumstances, Son Goku and Son Gohan's relationship has no intention of recovering. Hearing this, Bupa smiled indifferently, floated to the side of the hill to stand, and said, No hurry. Let them keep fighting first. When their power consumption is almost exhausted, when the time comes to take action, the probability of awakening them will also be greatly improved. Hearing this, Broly nodded thoughtfully. Immediately afterwards, Broly was not in a hurry, and immediately came to the side of the 0.7 pascals and waited patiently. In this case, time flies by quickly. In the blink of an eye, half a day has passed, and it can be seen that the fight between Son Goku and Son Gohan has begun to decline. The two of them were covered in blood and looked seriously injured. Bang! At this moment, a roar resounded. It can be seen that Son Goku and Son Gohan's fists have hit each other's chest one after another. In the next second, the two behemoths immediately fell to the ground, lying there gasping for breath, but their eyes also turned to the direction of the earth. Almost. Seeing this, Bupa's eyes flashed, and with a wave of his hand, the Kaigong bomb flew out and destroyed the dark clouds above the sky. In the next second, the outline of the earth appeared, and the outline of the azure planet was highlighted at this moment to be incomparably huge. Chapter 155. The Super Four Forms of Son Goku and Son Gohan. Hoo-ho. At this moment, the low roars of Son Goku and Son Gohan resounded. Under the action of the Bupa Kaigong bomb, the outline of the earth was enlarged at this moment, and even completely occupied the vision of the two of them. This also led to the rapid recovery of Son Goku and Son Gohan's sanity, and as the roar continued, the golden aura around them began to emerge. 57. Seeing this, Broly's eyes flashed, and he immediately said, I'm going to transform. As long as they transform into the golden giant ape, there will be no obstacles for Son Goku and Son Gohan to successfully transform into Super Saiyan 4. Hearing this, Bupa also smiled slightly. Although he has some confidence that he can wake up Son Goku and Son Gohan, he has to completely injure them, and even put them on the verge of death. But now it's different. Follow the original technique to directly make Son Goku and Son Gohan look at the earth without moving. With the protection of the earth in their hearts, they completely awaken their subconscious. Maybe the current Son Goku and Son Gohan have not completely recovered their sanity, but protecting the heart of the earth is enough for the two to suppress the madness after the great ape. Thinking of this, the corners of Bupa's mouth rose slightly, and he secretly said, "Sure enough, knowing the plot is the biggest golden finger. If you don't know this move, I'm afraid it will be more difficult for Son Goku and Son Gohan to turn into a Super 4. Hoo-ho tilde." At this time, the low roars of Son Goku and Son Gohan resounded throughout the arena. Looking at the reputation, you can clearly see that the golden aura around the two of them is getting more and more intense. In just a few breaths, Son Goku and Son Gohan turned into golden giant apes. At this moment, Bupa suddenly stood up and said, "Broly, act." 99. After he finished speaking, he took the lead in speeding towards Son Gohan. "Yes, sir." Seeing this, Broly also understood Bupa's thoughts, and immediately flew towards the golden giant ape that Son Goku transformed into. The next second, Bupa and Broly appeared in the area where Son Goku and Son Gohan were. Immediately afterwards, Son Goku and Son Gohan shouted without hesitation, "Gohan, make Super 2 and Super 3 transformations quickly. Kakarot, go for a deeper Super transformation quickly." As Bupa and Broly's voices resounded, Son Goku and Son Gohan, who had turned into golden giants, gradually became sensible. Immediately afterwards, the two huge golden giant apes slowly stood up from the ground and kept roaring, "Ho-ho!" In an instant, terrifying chi swept out, and it was clear that the chi around Son Goku and Son Gohan was getting stronger and stronger. With the continuous improvement of chi, the golden chi around Son Goku and Son Gohan became brighter and brighter. Finally, when a crimson brilliance appeared, the two huge golden giant apes were covered with crimson brilliance. In an instant, Son Goku's chi stabilized at around 80 Q. In addition, Son Gohan's chi has also soared to the point where it is almost the same as Son Goku. The combat power of more than 80 Jing is stronger than Son Goku, but it is not much stronger. Finished. It is finally over. Seeing this, Broly breathed a sigh of relief, and the corners of his mouth rose. "Good guy, your strength has improved so much after transforming all of a sudden." 35. Sure enough, the Super 4 form is Yides. At this moment, Broly's eyes were full of fighting intent. If it was just Son Goku and Son Gohan alone, he naturally wouldn't care. But now the strength of the father and son has reached the level of more than 80 capitals, and they have the power to fight against themselves. Broly. 35. However, before Broly could say anything, Bupa on the side said quietly, "Get ready." After Son Goku and Son Gohan make their breakthroughs, it's time for us to go back and prepare. Prepare? Hearing this, Broly looked at Bupa in confusion, and asked with a puzzled expression, "Brother, what are you going to prepare?" "Go to a stronger being." 35. With an indifferent smile, Bupa looked at Broly and said, "Son Goku and Son Gohan are not good enough to compete with you, unless they fusion become Kakara rice, but then you are not his match either. So, next, I'm going to take you to see an existence similar to yours, and you will definitely be excited about it." Hearing this, Broly was instantly refreshed. He remembered what Bupa had said before, and was instantly excited. Not inferior to their opponents. And listening to Bupa's words, the two sides seemed to be able to fight in a real sense, instead of learning from Son Goku and Son Gohan as they are now. Thinking of this, Broly immediately said, "Okay big brother." 35. Buzz. Almost instantly, a humming sound resounded. Looking at the reputation, it can be seen that the figures of Son Goku and Son Gohan have gradually begun to emerge. The crimson brilliance dissipated, and it was replaced by a Super 4 form with red hair, black hair and black eyes. It worked. I completed the Super 4 transformation. Almost instantly, the cheers of Son Goku and Son Gohan rang out. Feeling the fluctuation of their own aura, both father and son were extremely excited, and they were even full of fighting intent. After looking at each other, Son Goku and Son Gohan followed Bupa and Broly and said, "Uncle Bupa, Broly, can we fight?" With that said, the eyes of the two were locked on Bupa 110 and Broly, and the surging fighting intent could not be concealed. "No need." Seeing this situation, Bupa waved his hand first, and said indifferently, "Although your strength has improved well, you are still no match for Broly and I." 5. Broly's current basic combat power has reached 1 trillion, plus the Super Rage state. Even if it is also a Super 4 transformation, it is more than 10 times yours. As soon as these words came out, Son Goku and Son Gohan immediately exclaimed, "I don't want to admit it, but it's the truth." Even if they don't use their rage state, they are no match for Broly, let alone against Bupa. Thinking of this, Son Goku scratched his head in embarrassment, and then said, "It seems that I can only learn from Gohan." 39. Dad, I'm willing to learn from you and become stronger. In this regard, Son Gohan agreed without hesitation. He is also quite dissatisfied with his current strength, and if he can go further, he is also extremely eager. 99. Seeing this, Bupa nodded in satisfaction. Immediately afterwards, Buppa floated forward and said, very good, since that's the case, then I'll send the two of you back now. Next, Broly and I need to leave for a period of time, 3 years at most, and at least a few months. We will come back. I hope that your strength can be improved by then. Chapter 156 Entrusting Son Gohan with the task of preparing for the main universe. Leave? As many as 3 years, as few as a few months. Hearing this, Son Goku and Son Gohan looked at Buppa in confusion. This so-called departure is not overnight, and they could see from Buppa's expression that the latter's so-called departure was not as simple as it seemed. It is very likely that the latter really left the universe, and even made them unable to find each other during this period of time. Buppa, subconsciously, Son Goku then said, you guys left, what about things in universe? There's no room for Son Goku not to worry. After all, the Justice League has not been completely perfected, and there may still be people in the dark. Under such circumstances, both Buppa and Broly left, and the consequences were unimaginable. No need to worry. In this regard, Buppa had a plan for a long time. After looking at Son Goku, he immediately fixed his eyes on Son Gohan and said, Gohan, are you willing to go to the new Vegeta Star to sit for a while? Now the strongest in universe is the 4 of us. Broly and I are leaving, and the strongest is your father and son. Although Son Goku has good combat power, he is also lacking in reason, but you, Gohan, are different and can help me sit on the new Vegeta Star. Hearing this, Son Gohan nodded. He understood what Buppa was referring to. After all, Chi-Chi's stinginess with Son Goku was beyond question. Son Gohan can go to the new Vegeta Star to sit in town, but Son Goku can't go to it at all. Uncle Buppa. After pondering for a while, Son Gohan said, I can go to the new Vegeta Star to practice. Very good. Nodding with satisfaction, Buppa looked at Son Goku and said, Kakarot, then I'll go with Gohan after that. Now that you are in the Milky Way, you should be able to feel the breath of Piccolo, and you can instantly transmit it back. It is good. Hearing this, Son Goku nodded, then glanced at Son Gohan and said, Gohan, then Dad will go back first. 99. When Buppa and Broly come back, Dad will test your cultivation results. After speaking, Son Goku was a little reluctant, but he didn't hesitate. As soon as his mind moved, Son Goku raised his hand and touched his eyebrows. After a while, Son Goku locked in Piccolo's breath, and his entire body disappeared from the spot in a flash. All right. When Son Goku left, Buppa also clapped his hands at the moment, looked at Broly and Son Gohan and said, you two catch me, we will go back to the new Vegeta Star now. Yes, it is good. With a promise, Son Gohan and Broly no longer hesitated, and quickly reached out and grabbed Buppa's shoulder. The next second, Buppa immediately launched instant transmission, and the whole person disappeared from the place. New Vegeta Star. The space shook, and the figures of the 3 Buppa returned. This time, Buppa didn't teleport to Carrie's house rashly. Although the scenery was attractive, Carrie's anger was not easy to bear. Broly. After floating to the ground, Buppa looked at Broly and said, you take Gohan to find number 16, Lapis and Dr. Mayu. Tell them about working on supernamic cells. I'm going to find Callis now, and we can go after the conversation is over. Yes. With a promise, Broly's eyes were full of excitement. Immediately, without any hesitation, he quickly took Son Gohan and walked in the direction of laboratory number 7. After Broly and the two left, Buppa no longer hesitated, turned around and walked towards Callis' residence. Soon, Buppa arrived at Carrie's residence. After entering it, it can be seen that Carries did not take a bath this time, and she lay lazily on a hammock with attractive curves. Cough cough. With a light cough, Buppa stepped forward and said, Carries, I plan to go to the main universe to help you find the so-called Super Dragon Ball, but I don't know how to get there. What can you do? Hearing this, Carries opened her eyes, sat up lazily from the hammock, looked at Buppa for a moment and said, I didn't expect your strength to increase so quickly. The potential development of Supreme Kai has such an effect that it even makes you contaminated with a little Supreme Kai force fluctuation. But that's fine. With this slight fluctuation of Supreme Kai power, even if you go to the main universe, you won't be rashly recognized. You will just think that you are a Supreme Kai candidate of a universe. 5. As she spoke, Callis floated up and came to the area in front of Buppa. Immediately afterwards, Callis reached out and touched Buppa's forehead and murmured, but this kind of disguise is not enough. I'm helping you. As she spoke, a purple-black brilliance shone brightly in Carrie's hands. Immediately afterwards, Buppa felt a special force drilled into his body from the center of his eyebrows. In just an instant, Buppa felt something covering him, but he couldn't figure out what it was, and even the system didn't respond. Okay. At this moment, Callis suddenly withdrew her hand, looked at Buppa and said, I have placed an aura that belongs to the Lord Universe in your body. In such a situation, even the gods of destruction and angel of the Lord Universe cannot see through your identity. Isolate gods of destruction and angels probe. This is really interesting. With a flash of light in his eyes, Buppa immediately understood what Carrie's purpose was. At the same time, he was relieved. If Callis played tricks on him, then Buppa really didn't have any resistance at the moment. Thinking of this, Buppa said immediately, besides, I plan to go with my brother Broly. So, such a obtainable means still needs to be used by Miss Callis once. Besides, can Miscus tell me in detail about the main universe? For example, the gods of destruction and angel information within the main universe, although not necessarily predictable. 35. But I think the so-called Super Dragon Ball that Miscus needs, the other party as gods of destruction and angel can't possibly not care. After speaking, Buppa's eyes turned to look straight at Callis. Although he is very clear about the information in the Dragon Ball Super World, but to be honest, he is not sure if everything is right. It is good. Taking a deep look at Buppa, Callis frowned and said, "Actually, I don't recommend that you take Broly with you. Although his strength is not bad, going to the main universe with you can't help you, to be honest. It might even be a liability in a sense that you bring Broly to the main universe." Chapter 157. Convince Whis, the Black Ring of Time. Add burden. Glancing at Whis, Buppa disapproved. Taking Broly to the main universe was the result of his deliberation. After all, with the previous lessons learned, the improvement of Broly's bloodline can also be returned to him tenfold. If that's the case, why not go with Broly? If Broly turns into a superhero bloodline, then Buppa will definitely reach a superhero bloodline, maybe even higher. In addition, Buppa also wants to try to see if Broly can complete the transformation of Super Saiyan God. If Broly can complete the transformation of Super Saiyan God, it means that the existence of GT Universe can also complete this. At that time, he can use this to try to make all the artificial Saiyans have Super Saiyan transformation, especially the artificial Saiyan created by number 21 and Drive Mayu. They both have huge limitations. At least there is no possibility of turning into Super 4, but if they can be turned into Super Sailors, it will perfectly solve all the drawbacks. Miscus. As soon as he thought of this, Buppa immediately said, "This is my decision, please support and not oppose it." 35. I have my own plans for taking Broly to nature. Miss Callis, fusion dance steps? Does she know? Broly and I went to the main universe, and even if we encounter an invincible existence, we can fusion defeat each other. Without directly stating his purpose, Buppa just described the benefits of going with Broly. At the same time, it doesn't give Callis any chance and possibility to refuse. Fusion dance moves. I see. Looking at Lattice with a stunned look, Callis understood Buppa's plan at this moment. At the same time, her original desire to persuade Buppa to give up taking Broly also stopped. After all, the conclusion Buppa gave at the moment was beyond doubt, and even she had no chance of objecting. Otherwise, when Buppa chooses not to go to the main universe, she will really fall short. As soon as she thought of this, Callis immediately said, "In the main universe, the power of gods of destruction and angel is extremely powerful. Even if you and the Broly fusion are not necessarily his opponents, it's better not to fight with him unless you have to. Other than that, gods of destruction's life is tied to Supreme Kai, and angel exists because of gods of destruction. So, if it's a matter of life and death, you can just kill that universe's Supreme Kai and get away. As long as Supreme Kai dies, the gods of destruction will also die, and then the gods of destruction will die, and angel will fall into a deep sleep and cannot attack you." Listening to Callis's story, Buppa nodded earnestly. If it really came to the point of last resort, he would also choose to kill Supreme Kai in exchange for his own safety. That's why he had to learn the Supreme Kai version of instant transmission before. In addition to fleeing and getting away, the most important thing is to frighten the gods of destruction, so that they do not dare to rashly attack themselves. Correct. At this time, Callis seemed to have thought of something, and her eyes focused on Buppa and said, "In addition to gods of destruction and angel, there are higher-level beings in the main universe." Add. In the main universe, the person with the highest status is called Xeno, followed by Grand Priest. If the two of them appear, you must be careful, otherwise they can easily kill you. I don't know how powerful Xeno is, but Grand Priest is an invincible existence at the 18th rank, and he can kill you with just one thought. In addition to Grand Priest, there are also Grand Angel and Xeno guards in the main universe. Their strength is also above the 15th rank, while Angel's strength is between the 12th and 15th rank. These are not things you can provoke. Hiss. After listening to Callis's narration, Buppa couldn't help taking a deep breath. He previously knew that Beerus had a power of 10, Whis had a power of 15, and Vados had a power of 15.5. I thought that Whis and Vados were already second only to Grand Priest, but I didn't expect Grand Priest's power to be 18. And on top of Vados and Whis there are big angels and Xenoguards, which is incredible. After being surprised, Buppa subconsciously said, "How did the big angel and Xenoguards come here?" From what Miscus said, it seems that the big angel has something to do with angel. Good. Glancing at Buppa, Callis said indifferently, "The big angel is indeed the evolution of the angel." 99. An angel whose combat power reaches level 16 will activate the big angel gene in his body and evolve into a real big angel. As for the Xenoguards, they were made by the gods of destruction one step further. Their strength is also above the 15th rank, and all of them have extremely terrifying combat power, which you can't match now. Angel evolves into big angel. Gods of destruction evolved into Xenoguardians. Nodding thoughtfully, Buppa understood the situation in the main universe at this moment. At the same time, I can understand why Gods of Destruction is strong enough and has almost eternal life, but there is still a need to cultivate Gods of Destruction candidates. Authorship is that after the power of Gods of Destruction reaches a certain level, it will become Xeno's guardian, giving up control of a universe. The alternate Gods of Destruction will take over at that time, taking over the job of Gods of Destruction, ensuring that the universe will not be without the existence of Gods of Destruction. After understanding all this, Bupa said immediately, Miss Curse, I remember everything you said. But how do you get it into the main universe? Also, if I get the Super Dragon Ball, how will I get back? This has always been something Bupa has been curious about. According to Callis's previous story, GT Universe is just one of the parallel worlds of the main universe. In other words, the two parties appear to be connected but in fact they are not connected. Under such circumstances, even if Callis is a fallen angel, she cannot just send people into the main universe casually. It's simple. Unexpectedly, Callis smiled lightly at the moment and said, angels who have reached the 15th stage of combat power can awaken the power of time and space. 99. I can open the time-space tunnel to send you into the main universe, and when you want to come back, just activate it. Saying that, Callis waved the scepter in her hand, and it could be seen that a pitch-black ring appeared in front of Bupa's eyes. This is. Looking at the ring, Bupa's pupils shrank, and a thought came to his mind. Supreme Kai's time ring? But why is it black? Chapter 158 Explain the matter. Go to the main universe. Add. According to Bupa, this time ring can travel through various time periods and is an important treasure and symbol of Supreme Kai. But in the original book, this time ring was silver and white, but now Callis took it out in black, which had to make him curious and puzzled. This is the fallen ring. Curse smiled lightly, and then said, it is the result of my strength. As long as you inject your own power into it, I can feel it even in the main universe. When the time comes, I can use the power of time and space to connect with it, so that you and Broly can be brought back. It takes a while to get connected though, so you have to be secure to be able to use it to contact me. I see. Nodding with an enlightened look, Bupa immediately understood that this thing was not a time ring. Although it looks similar, it is actually not the same thing at all. Bai is happy. With an inner sigh, Bupa's eyes flashed with disappointment. If it's really a ring of time, it's definitely good news for Bupa. He can even travel to various parallel universes with the help of the time ring, so that the protagonists and supporting roles in them can be collected and rewarded. I see. Resisting the loss, he reached out and grabbed the fallen ring and put it on his hand. Bupa raised his head and said, Miss Curse, then let's go to Broly now. 99. After you exerted the power to cover up being probed for him, he and I set off for the main universe. It is good. Nodding, Callis is not rejecting anything. She has already explained what should be explained, and she has already said what should be said. The most important thing is that she herself is a little impatient now, and even said that she is just around the corner. Immediately, Callis followed Bupa out of the residence and went straight to Laboratory 7. Add. Master Bupa. Master Bupa. When they saw Bupa's arrival, Lapis, number 16 and Drive Mayu in the laboratory all bowed and saluted. Get up. With a wave of his hand, Bupa glanced at the three of Dr. Mayu, and then said, what about Broly and Son Gohan? Grown-ups. Hearing this, Dr. Mayu said immediately, Master Broly and Master Son Gohan are checking the artificial Saiyan. 9. Nodding his head, Bupa waved his hand and said, number 16, let Broly and Son Gohan come over. Yes. With a promise, number 16 didn't dare to neglect and turned around and walked towards the area where the artificial Saiyan was. Moments later, Broly and Son Gohan followed number 16 out of the room. Big brother, Uncle Bupa. After seeing Bupa, the two immediately stepped forward, looking quite excited. For the creation of the artificial Saiyan, they are also full of confidence and expectations at the moment. Nodding, Bupa didn't talk nonsense, pointed to Broly and said, Miss Curse, let's start. 35. Okay. Yeah. With a promise, Curse stepped forward and said, Broly, relax. Saying that, Callis directly raised the scepter in her hand and pressed it against Broly's body. The next second, the scepter shines brightly. With the humming sound, black and purple air covered Broly's body. For a time, a purple-black brilliance shone throughout the entire laboratory. This scene immediately aroused the curiosity of Son Gohan and others. At the same time, their eyes were all focused on Callis, and they were quite puzzled and curious about the latter's identity. Buzz. After a while, the black-purple brilliance dissipated. Curse retracted her scepter, turned her head to look at Bupa and said, it's done. When are you going to leave? Now. Glancing at Callis, Bupa answered without hesitation. Immediately afterwards, Bupa looked aside and said, Gohan, Lapis, the safety of the new Vegeta Star will be handed over to you for the next time. Yes. 99. Yes. 35. Hearing this, Sonny Goku and Lapis hurriedly bowed. Although Lapis didn't know what Bupa was going to do, it seemed that the latter was planning to leave for a while. Not only him, but also number 16 and Drive Mayu on the side were quite curious and puzzled, but they didn't dare to ask anything rashly. All right. At this time, Callis said quietly, Bupa, stand with Broly. Please ask for flowers. In this way, I can easily use my ability to send you to your destination. It is good. With a promise, Bupa walked over to Broly. After the two stood side by side, Bupa looked at Callis and said, Miss Callis, let's start. If there is any danger in the new Vegeta Star that Son Gohan can't stop, then ask Miss Callis to help. 5. Give it to me. Nodding her head, Callis said indifferently, I will completely block the new Vegeta Star. Unless someone's strength surpasses me, it will be impossible to break in within this period of time. After speaking, Callis no longer hesitated, waving the scepter in her hand, and a special force directly covered the bodies of Bupa and Broly. Time-space teleportation, go. With a low voice from Callis, the space in the area where Bupa and Broly were located was distorted. At this moment, the figures of the two disappeared from the eyes of Son Gohan and others in an instant. Gone. Disappeared. Seeing this situation, Son Gohan, Lapis, number 16 and Drive.Myu all exclaimed. At that moment, they both noticed Bupa and Broly, but the latter also disappeared in an instant. Not even the ability of instant transmission. Miss Callis. Subconsciously, Son Gohan looked at Callis and said, where are Uncle Bupa and Uncle Broly? As soon as these words came out, Lapis and others also looked at Callis curiously. You don't need to know where to go. Years. However, Callis looked at Son Gohan and the others with an extremely indifferent look at the moment. Bupa and Broly will not be returning for the next time. Since he has already explained things to you, then I won't emphasize anything. If you encounter enemies that you can't handle during this time, you can come to me, otherwise I don't like being disturbed. After that, Callis ignored the reactions of Son Gohan, Lapis and others, turned around and walked out of the laboratory. Seeing this situation, Son Gohan and others were dumbfounded. Unexpectedly, Callis was so indifferent, and she had no intention of telling them where Bupa and Broly were going. Chapter 159. The black hole appears to surprise everyone. The birthday banquet becomes a crisis. Dragon Ball Superworld. 7th Universe, Earth. Zizzy. The space suddenly distorted, and a black hole quietly appeared on the sea. What is that? Black hole? How can there be black holes on Earth? 35. This scene immediately attracted the attention of Boomer and others who were holding a birthday party on the yacht not far away, especially Son Goten and Trunks. These two children, at this moment, ran directly to the area of the bow, staring directly at the black hole with curiosity. Be careful. Suddenly, Piccolo seemed to have noticed something, and flew up quickly and said, I feel that there is a terrifying aura in that black hole, which is probably the enemy. What enemy? Hearing this, Boomer and the others on the yacht panicked. If it is really the enemy, it is definitely an existence that cannot be underestimated by 113. For a time, Son Gohan and the others quickly stepped forward. Aunt Boomer, you all step back first. If it is the enemy, it cannot be sloppy. 99. If you can come out of the black hole, the other party is definitely not easy to deal with. It is good. Hearing this, Bulma, Chuchi and others all that nodded. They also understand that they and others can't help, and in such a situation, the only way to get out of this place as soon as possible. In an instant, Bulma, Chuchi, Videl and others all quickly retreated from the bow of the ship. At the same time, Son Gohan, Piccolo, Kling, number 17 and others were standing in the bow area, staring at the black hole on the sea in front of them, their eyes full of vigilance. With the passage of time, the breath from the black hole became stronger and stronger. The entire sea area was gusting, which made the expressions of Son Gohan and the others even more solemn. Uncle Piccolo, subconsciously clenching his fists, Son Gohan said with a worried expression, the aura in the black hole is too terrifying. What should we do? Hearing this, Piccolo also frowned. If it was before, he still had some certainty, but feeling the breath that was being transmitted from the black hole at the moment, he also had no certainty to deal with it. Gohan. Almost instantly, Piccolo spoke with determination, you contact Lao Sun now to get him back. 39. Only when the old grandson comes back can he fight against the possibility of danger in the black hole. 99. Yes, Uncle Piccolo. Hearing this, Son Gohan nodded immediately. He also understands how bad the current situation is, and only by recalling Son Goku can the crisis be resolved. Immediately, Son Gohan no longer hesitated, and quickly walked to the area inside the yacht. Aunt Bulma. When he came to Bulma's place, Son Gohan quickly asked, can the device that Aunt Bulma made before can contact Dad now? The breath coming out of the black hole on the sea is too scary, it's just that we don't have much confidence to contend. The only solution now is to get Dad back. Oh, yes. Hearing this, Bulma nodded, took out a universal capsule from his arms and opened it. The next second, a strange-looking communicator appeared in the area of the field. After picking up the communicator, Bulma handed it to Son Gohan and said, Gohan, go and contact Goku. I'll contact Vegeta now to get him over. We're all in danger, and if he doesn't come, he'll just watch us die. 99. With that said, Boo angrily picked up the communicator and dialed the phone. At the same time, Son Gohan didn't hesitate, and quickly dialed the communicator and started to contact Son Goku. Dudu. Universal Capsule Company, Vegeta is still exercising, and the voice of the phone rings. Cut. Did that stupid woman also install a communication system in the training room? Seeing this, Vegeta pouted, looking a little unhappy, but still reached out and pressed the switch button. Vegeta. The next second, Bulma's low roar followed. Come over here, something big has happened. Cut. Curling his lips, Vegeta said disdainfully, what can happen? Don't disturb my practice, stupid woman. Damn Vegeta. Hearing this, Bulma was also furious, and immediately roared without caring about his image. You can't come here, Trunks, and I have to die here. A black hole appeared on the sea, and Gohan and the others said that there was an extremely dangerous atmosphere in it, and even they were not opponents. Now that Gohan is contacting Goku, if you don't want to come, you can die alone. 35. Saying that, Bulma hung up the communication angrily. 0. Danger? Contacted Kakarot. 35. Son Gohan, they are not rivals. 35. After listening to Bulma's words, Vegeta finally frowned. Although he looks arrogant, he is also very concerned about his wife and children. How can Vegeta be indifferent now that Bulma says they are likely to die? Damn things. 35. Add. This prince wants to see who dares to touch me. Apostrophe. With a roar, Vegeta immediately entered the super match mode. In the next second, Vegeta directly broke through the training room, and the whole person soared into the sky and galloped towards the sea area where Bulma was. Doo-doo. On the other end, Sonny Goku also took out the communicator from his arms, with a hint of doubt in his eyes. Bulma, what did she call me for? Is there another crisis on Earth? Confused, Sonny Goku just clicked to answer, Dad. The next second, Son Gohan's voice came out, where are you now, Dad? A black hole has appeared on the Earth, and there is an extremely terrifying breath coming out of it, and I and Uncle Piccolo are no match for it. Dad, come back if you have time, otherwise the Earth is likely to fall into crisis. Hearing this, Sonny Goku was stunned. It was really an Earth crisis, and Sonny Goku immediately sat up from the ground and said, 0.7 Gohan. Don't worry, tell me what's going on. 5. I'm here with Lord King Kai right now. As long as you burst out with your super competitive chi, I can feel it, so instant transmission will go straight back. Hearing this, Son Gohan immediately sighed in relief. As long as Sonny Goku can come back as soon as possible, it's all good to say. Thinking of this, Son Gohan didn't hesitate, and told the story of the black hole directly. I see. After listening to Son Gohan's narration, Sonny Goku's expression also followed with awe and said, Gohan, you are 8 now, I will return to Earth immediately. Yes, Dad. Hearing this, Son Gohan was overjoyed. After hanging up the communication, Son Gohan walked to the yacht deck, took a deep breath and directly activated the Super Saiyan transformation. Chapter 160 Sonny Goku's Return, Gods of Destruction. Add. Ha. With a low shout, Son Gohan turned into a super race, and his own chi swept the 4 directions at this moment. I sensed it. At the same time, Sonny Goku on King Kai also sensed Son Gohan's anger for the first time. Without the slightest hesitation, Sonny Goku immediately raised his hand to activate instant transmission and disappeared from the spot. Call out! Call out! Almost as soon as Sonny Goku left, a beam of 7 colors fell from the sky at this moment. In the next second, the figures of Beerus and Whis appeared on the King Kai star. Beerus-sama. Seeing the person coming, King Kai was stunned for a moment, then stepped forward with a big change in his expression, bowed and saluted. Meet Beerus. Nodding his head, Beerus looked around and said, King Kai, where is Saiyan Sonny Goku from you? Son Goku. Hearing this, King Kai was dumbfounded. He was summoned by Supreme Kai before, but before he could tell Son Goku, the latter left early because of things on Earth. For a time, King Kai hurriedly said, Lord Beerus, Sun Wu 20 Kong is no longer on King Kai star, he is now returning to Earth. According to Sonny Goku's son, there seemed to be a black hole on the Earth, and an enemy was attacking in it, so Sonny Goku hurried back. Hearing this, Beerus frowned slightly, and his expression suddenly became displeased. It took him so much time to come here, that Sonny Goku dared to leave. This is simply looking down on him. Beerus. For a time, Beerus looked at King Kai with a gloomy expression and said, King Kai, do you think the planet you live in is too big? Hearing this, King Kai was terrified, and the cold sweat on his forehead hurriedly said, Lord Beerus, that's not the case. I really didn't slack, and I didn't lie to you. It really was something happened to Earth. So Sonny Goku left in a hurry. How about I let him come back now? The King Kai star was originally huge, but because he angered Beerus back then, the entire King Kai star became like this. If Beerus was angry, the entire King Kai star would be completely destroyed. Humphrey. Seeing this, Beerus snorted coldly. Although he was upset, he could see that King Kai didn't lie to himself. Thinking of this, Beerus turned his head to look at Whis beside him and said, Whis, how long does it take to get to Earth? I look at Lord Beerus. 99. With a promise, Whis raised the scepter in his hand and began to check. After a moment, Whis said, 5 minutes. Lord Beerus, it takes 5 minutes to get to Earth. Okay. 35. Hearing this, Beerus lowered his head and said with a very depressed expression, then take me to Earth. King Kai, I'll spare you this time. With that, Beerus reached out and grabbed Whis. In this regard, Whis no longer hesitated, waved his scepter, and the seven-color beam rose into the sky and hurried away with Beerus. Who? Seeing this, King Kai breathed a sigh of relief. Beerus is gone, which is definitely good news for him. Immediately afterwards, King Kai seemed to have thought of something, and immediately began to look in the direction of the earth, muttering, Son Goku must be warned, and he must not provoke Lord Beerus, otherwise the consequences will be unimaginable. 35. Earth, add, Zizzy. The space shook, and Son Goku's figure appeared on the deck. Dad. Seeing Son Goku appear, Son Gohan, who was releasing his own breath, sighed with relief. Immediately afterwards, Son Gohan quickly came to the area beside Son Goku and said excitedly, You're finally back. Fortunately, I came back in time, otherwise the people in the black hole may come out. 35. Hearing this, Son Goku smiled slightly, and then looked at the black hole on the sea in the distance. It is indeed an aura that cannot be underestimated, and even made me feel a huge pressure. Gohan, let's go and see what's going on. Saying that, Son Goku flew up and prepared to go to the black hole to find out. Kakarot. At this moment, a voice came. Looking at the sound, the figure of Vegeta can be seen hurriedly coming. Soon, Vegeta arrived at the area next to Son Goku, and said with a serious look, What the hell is going on? Where did the enemy suddenly come from? Vegeta. Seeing the person coming, Son Goku also smiled slightly, and immediately said, I don't know where the enemy came from, but the breath coming out of the black hole is indeed a bit terrifying. Vegeta, do you want to go and see? Certainly. Hearing this, Vegeta nodded without hesitation. Since it was an enemy, he naturally wouldn't let it go. And judging from the strong aura emanating from it, the visitor is definitely not a good person, which also filled Vegeta's heart with strong curiosity and fighting intent. Call out, add, call out. The next second, Son Goku, Vegeta, and Son Gohan were racing toward the black hole in the distance. At the same time, Piccolo and others in the Bo area were also relieved at the moment. Son Goku and Vegeta both came. This also means that the crisis of the black hole should be nothing. After all, there is no doubt that Son Goku and Vegeta are strong, and they do not think that the figure in the black hole can compete with them. Call out, call out. The sound of breaking through the air resounded, and the three figures of Son Goku quickly arrived at the black hole. Looking at the constantly rotating black hole, Son Goku said with a curious expression, Gohan, Vegeta, what kind of existence do you think it is? From the perspective of breath, it is not inferior to us, and it even feels a little frightening. Humphrey. Hearing this, Vegeta snorted coldly and said proudly, It doesn't matter who he is. Dare to invade the earth, the prince will let him know the price to pay for it. Saying that, Vegeta raised her hand, and countless Qui-Gon bullets attacked the black hole directly. Vegeta. Uncle Vegeta. Apostrophe. Seeing this situation, Son Goku and Son Gohan were shocked, never expecting Vegeta to shoot directly. Right now, we still don't know who is inside that black hole, and we don't know if it's an enemy or a friend. Vegeta launched an attack so rashly, if this completely angered the other party, the consequences would be unimaginable. Looking for death. However, before Son Goku and Son Gohan could say anything, an angry voice resounded from within the black hole at this moment. If you like this audiobook, subscribe the channel for more videos like this. And join my Patreon if you want to support me, where you can find advanced audiobooks that hasn't been uploaded on YouTube till now. Leave some comment and let me know if you guys like this story, or you have a web novel you like and want to hear its audiobook. I will be happy to create them for you. Please like, share, and leave a comment on the video.